Welcome back to College Football Addiction. The first round is done, and we have our fourth game that was over well before really even the fourth quarter started. Tennessee gets drubbed by Ohio State. And just like we talked about with the first three games, there are a lot of narratives that can be painted around this game, and I will talk about those. Maybe sometime later today. Maybe it'll come out on Sunday, maybe Monday. I'm not sure. But for now, we're just going to talk about football because that is what Tennessee fans and Ohio State fans deserve after a game, and then we'll talk narratives later. I do also want to talk about Ryan Day, who admitted something massive, and it was the difference in this game. But from the very start in this, it just felt, before Ohio State scored, right? Like, obviously, when you go up 21-0 in the first quarter, very obvious you're going to probably have your way with that night. But from the very beginning, did you notice that timeout early for Ohio State? It seemed like the Tennessee excitement was all just in that very first drive. The face mask on 3rd and 2 kind of saves them. And then immediately, Ohio State starts blitzing Tennessee. Not necessarily in the literal sense of blitzing like you would on defense, blitzing them like an all-out attack. The aggressiveness that Ohio State showed early was the difference in the game. Jeremiah Smith, touchdown to start it. Absolutely unreal. I thought he got interfered with on that first touchdown. Would have been the third pass, one of 3 pass interferences. Only one did they end up calling on him in the end zone. Tennessee immediately goes 3 and out. Smith to start the next drive. You've got the long pass down the seam. 1st and goal. Judkins touchdown. Another stop, another score. 21-0 in the first quarter. The game not over there, but effectively over. A couple of scrambles by Nico was the first time that they had gotten a first down after it was already 21-0. An insane interception leads to a really good drive by Tennessee. I thought they got kind of saved on the roughing the passer call, which was just complete crap. It ends up just getting them a field goal, 21-3. Ohio State goes 3 and out. Tennessee gets a 4th down conversion and a touchdown to make it 21-10. A 16-play drive. Nothing was easy for Tennessee tonight, but it does make it 21-10 just before halftime. Tennessee can't do anything to open the half. Ohio State drives right down, scores a couple times. It's all of a sudden 35-10. Judkins with another touchdown. Jeremiah Smith gets another touchdown. Just big picture in this game, right? You don't need my full. Those are my quick thoughts on some of the bigger things that happened. But first of all, there were a lot of questions. There were a lot of doubts on how good Will Howard could be or would be after the Michigan game, after some of his performances this year. He lived up to everything you could ever want. Some of the stuff, short passes, most of it, though, down the field, down the seams, against a good Tennessee defense, against a good Tennessee front, a front that we talked with Zach Smith about. There was some concern on Ohio State's end. How are we going to block these guys? Well, they did a pretty good job tonight. Not that Tennessee never got home, not that they didn't impact some things, but they did a great job of it. They were phenomenal up front, and Will Howard, I don't want to get so hyperbolic, but like if he plays like that, if he plays at that level, Ohio State can do anything they want, right? They can win the next 3 games. Will they? I don't know. They're a slight favorite right now against Oregon. And then, we'll see. It's probably Texas, right, that they'd meet in the semifinal. And then who knows on the other side? Notre Dame, Georgia, Penn State. Could boys just sneak in? Probably not, but we'll see. Will Howard answered a lot of questions. He was really good tonight. Jeremiah Smith, it's not fair on 2 parts that Jeremiah Smith has to play football for 2 more years in college. It's not fair, 1, to the rest of college football. It's also not fair to him. He could be a starting wide receiver in the NFL this upcoming season. There's no doubt about it. He is insane. He could go down with all of the history of wide receivers in not only the Big Ten, not only at Ohio State, college football. He could go down as one of the absolute best. He is absurd. And again, it's not fair that he can't go to the NFL right now. Again, not fair for the rest of the Big Ten, the rest of college football, and not fair to him either. He is unreal. Tennessee, I expected Tennessee to play better. I went back and forth. I told you I thought Ohio State would win by exactly a touchdown. Obviously, that didn't happen. I leaned the Ohio State spread. Thought that if you could get it at 6.5, which I think it closed right at 7, so it would have been a push for me. But if it closed right at 7, I leaned Ohio State probably taking care of business and covering. Certainly didn't expect this. Certainly didn't expect Tennessee to never be competitive. And shout out Vol Nation. Like, shout out the Tennessee fans that were up there. What did you have, 30, 35% of the fans at the game? If you're a Tennessee fan, if you're an Ohio State fan, you were at the game tonight, comment below. Let me know. Because it seemed like a whole lot of Rocky Top up in there. And you would think that, man, for you got a freshman quarterback, you've got, I don't know what was up with Sampson or not, lower body injury. Heupel didn't want to say much about it, but it stinks that he couldn't go. I don't know how much of a difference it would have made. Maybe a little more competitive, but probably not. But for them to never be competitive in a stadium that was not a neutral site, it's not I don't want to call it that, but a stadium that your fans had, there were more fans there for that than any Michigan game I'd seen. Any other big game that I've ever seen at the Shoe, I've never seen that many fans by the opposing team. And so for you to come out as flat as they did, man, I think we talked to Zach about this, that all of the doubt and all of the hate and all of the stuff about Ryan Day and he might get fired. That was going to go one of two ways for Ohio State. That was either going to crater them, they were going to buckle under the pressure, or they were going to absolutely come out and maul the opponent. I think we told you this. There was not a world where Ohio State would win this close. I'm not going to pull up the clip and replay it. You can go watch the preview if you want. But my thought was either Ohio State's going to win this thing going away or Tennessee is going to win it extremely close. And certainly win it going away is what Ohio State did. But for them to never be competitive, that shocked me a little bit. I thought their defense would play better. I thought their offense would. I love Ohio State's defense. I thought that Ohio State's defense would probably be the difference in this. I didn't see Tennessee scoring more than like 20, 24. And so I thought Tennessee's defense would have to keep Ohio State down, which they obviously didn't. Ohio State's defense is the difference in this. It'll probably be the difference in every game they win going forward. The defense plays well, they'll probably win. Obviously, you need Will Howard and some of those weapons to continue to play really well as well. But Tennessee being non-competitive really shocked me. Ryan Day answered a lot of questions tonight. And this is what impressed me the most about this. In his post-game press conference, he was asked very directly. Ohio State media doesn't really play. From I watch the team every week. I watch all of their games, but I'm not really in tune with the media there. I don't follow that as closely. You guys probably do closer. In fact, I don't even get any Ohio State media folks on. We get Zach Smith on just because I think he has a little bit better insight than most people, having been in that system, coached there, and having the connections that he does. Ryan Day was asked very pointed. You coached a lot more aggressively tonight than you did against Michigan. Was that a concerted effort? And Ryan somewhat sidestepped it a little bit. He kind of went around the corner and then came back to it to answer it because he didn't want to just basically say, yes, I blew it in the last one. I didn't coach aggressive enough. I didn't go after it like we should have. And so I did it tonight. He didn't want to say that, right? But he answered a couple other questions that weren't really asked. He said, we did some things well. We did some things differently. We were trying to figure out the whole center situation, blah, 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 blah. And then he got to the answer and he said, but yeah, I called the game more aggressively. Ryan Day knew from the start that he was not going to lose this game with his tail tucked between his legs. He knew from the start that he was not going to lose this game because they weren't aggressive enough. And he admitted it. He admitted, yes, we came out and maybe Tennessee thought we were going to, he didn't say all this, right? But like this was the thought, right? This was the picture he's painting. Maybe Tennessee thought we were going to come out and play, feel it out, see what happens here. You give a blow, we give a blow. No, we weren't doing that. We went for the jugular from play one. We called this more aggressively. We got after it. We went after it. I was going to get the ball in the hands of my best players. We were going to let Will Howard loose. We were going to let him throw the ball. We were going to let him toss the rock around, and we were going to live with the results. If he'd have thrown 3 picks like Jennings did earlier for SMU, they'd have lived with the results of a loss, right? They were good with that. but they weren't going to lose sitting down. And to me, that is what Ohio State fans want. I know they want to beat Michigan. I know that's really what's most, but they want the coach that's going to go out there and ball out. Get the ball to the best wide receivers in the country. Trust Will Howard, who showed you tonight that he can do it against a really good defense. Oregon's defense is not that good. I'm just going to tell you. Now, you're neutral site. You're not at home, so it's different. But I don't think Oregon's defense is that good. I don't know if Texas's secondary is that good. If you saw them after that, you saw Clemson kind of get after that Texas secondary. And I don't think Georgia's secondary is that good either. Notre Dame's probably is the closest, in my opinion. But Ryan Day said, we're going to go after it. And they did. And he absolutely backed up every bit of criticism, everything. This was the game that had the closest spread of the weekend, tied with Indiana and Notre Dame at 7 points. This was the game that everybody said, well, this is the SEC team coming in. We know Indiana's not that good. We know SMU's not that good. We know Clemson probably isn't going to match up with Texas, but Tennessee. Now that team is going to get a lot of people pick Tennessee outright. Not just to cover the spread, outright, to win the game. And they weren't able to do it. And that's a credit to Ryan Day, Will Howard, this offense, this defense, this program, the Ohio State fans, all the narrative around this entire game. And shout out the Tennessee fans that went. You guys were incredible. It really does suck that your team couldn't back it up. I love getting Sports Talk Jay on. I love the Tennessee fans in the comments. You guys really are great. And it's tragic that your team couldn't back it up because you guys deserved better than the performance tonight. There's no doubt about it. But with all that, all the narrative around this was, man, where's the Ohio State fans? Where's everybody at? The tailgate lots are empty. There's less people at the skull session. Oh man, look, there's so much orange in the stadium. They're taking over. They're doing this. And that was the whole, and so the media almost built this up. Everybody, from Pate to Ross Dellinger to the ESPN guys to Kirk Herbstreit, everyone involved, everyone in the media. Clay Travis is posting videos on Twitter of shirtless Tennessee players out warming up. Oh, they're so tough. They're ready out there with their shirts on. The whole media narrative was Tennessee's going to go in there and smack them because they have more fans than a normal away team. And again, massive pat on the back to the Tennessee fans that went, this is not a beef with the Tennessee fans. That's not my point here. Ohio State stood in the face of all of that and still laid the absolute hammer down, the absolute smackdown on Tennessee tonight. It's a massive credit to that program. It proves, and that loss is not forgotten about by Ohio State, but it does prove that Michigan game was a one-off. The team you saw tonight was much more like the team you saw against Oregon and against Penn State and against the rest of their schedule. And I think it's probably more than likely the team you're going to see in the Rose Bowl, which that Oregon-Ohio State matchup in the Rose Bowl, a Big Ten team, and I don't care what realignment says, a Pac-12 team playing in the Rose Bowl for a chance to go to the semifinal and probably play Texas. It does not get any better than that. This was, for as much as people hate the committee and hate the seedings and hate the format and hate this and that and the other, the fact that we're getting Ohio State and Oregon in the Rose Bowl is phenomenal. And it is probably going to be the game of the playoffs. Do I think those are the best two teams? I don't know. I don't care. That was my point. It's probably going to be the game of the playoffs. I think Notre Dame, Georgia could be really good. I think Texas versus this winner could be really good if it happens. I think Penn State, Notre Dame could be really good. I think Penn State, Georgia could be really good. Georgia, Texas, number 3 could be good. Georgia, Oregon could be good. Georgia, Ohio State, all those could be good. This, to me, is about to be the game of the playoffs. There's so much talent out at wide receiver. There's quarterbacks that can get them the ball. There's good defense. There's great coaching on both sides. This, to me, is going to be the best game of the playoff. We will absolutely preview it from both sides, so make sure you're subscribed. And my biggest takeaway from tonight, and this is maybe so obvious to say, but as a 7 seed, even as a 7 seed, if Ohio State plays like this, they can absolutely win it all. What's tough is playing like this 3 more times because you're most likely going to play Oregon, Texas, and then either Notre Dame or Georgia. And if Notre Dame gets there by beating Georgia and then beating Penn State. They will have earned it. This is not Notre Dame of 2012 that got shell-shocked by Alabama. This would be a really good Notre Dame team that had won plenty of games. And if Georgia gets there, they will have beaten Notre Dame and Penn State. And if Penn State gets there, they will have beaten either Notre Dame or Georgia. And so your road is tough, Ohio State. There's no doubt about it. You didn't take care of business during the regular season. But you absolutely have a chance to win it all if you play like that. Nobody can guard the 19-year-old freshman. Nobody can guard or go after the running backs. Nobody can really score on that defense. Ohio State's got a great shot to win it all if they can put performances like this together over and over and over again. Listen, I know there are hot takes around this game. I know there are hot takes around the other games. I will absolutely talk about that and address some of that as well. But for this, just wanted to talk football. I appreciate you guys for tuning in. I appreciate you guys for hanging out. I'd love if you subscribed. I'd love if you comment, especially if you were there or if you were anywhere near Columbus and you want to talk about it. I appreciate you guys, as always, for tuning in to College Football Addiction.